menemani suara anak bangsa hanya di PPI Belanda Podcast.
Cit, jadi gue mau bayar uang kuliah nih. Sebenarnya orang tua gue tuh udah lama ngirim uangnya. Manual nih lewat bank, tapi gak nyampe-nyampe. Gue sampai dikejar-kejar kuliah nih.
Lah, lo emangnya gak pakai Transfest aja?
Oh, apa tuh Transfest?
Transfest, itu loh aplikasi yang bisa kita download via App Store atau Play Store untuk mempermudah kita buat transfer uang dari Indonesia ke Belanda. Dijamin aman, gampang, dan lo udah bisa terima uangnya sehari setelah hari orang tua lo kirim uang tersebut. Biaya adminnya cuma 74.000 dan seluruh operasi Transfest mengikuti peraturan Bank Indonesia dan Pusat Pelaporan dan Analisis Transaksi Keuangan atau PPATK.
Wah, oke banget dong. Harus gue pakai itu aja ya selama ini.
Yoi. Terus kalau lo pakai kode referral PPI Belanda 898473, itu lo bakal dapat gratis biaya transaksi pertama kali.
Wah, kalau gitu langsung download deh gue.
Transfest, cara paling mudah dan nyaman untuk kirim uang ke mancanegara.
Hai semuanya, balik lagi ke podcast PPI Belanda. Dan kali ini gue bakal ngebahas tentang the perks of being a multilingual. Tapi kali ini podcast ini gue gak sendiri lagi. Gue kedatangan temen gue yang juga ada di PPI Belanda kebetulan. Tapi kita beda departemen. Nah, gue kenapa tertarik karena gue tuh selalu ngeliat dia di TikTok FYP gue. Meskipun kita friends ya, tapi kayak pertama kali tuh dia selalu aja muncul di FYP gue. Dan itu selalu tentang bahasa. Nah, bahasa ini kan unik sih menurut gue. Kayak dia itu bisa beberapa bahasa, cukup banyak menurut gue. And it's actually a wonderful thing menurut gue. Karena bahasa itu menurut gue sendiri tuh indah. Tapi gak usah lama-lama, gue bakal memperkenalkan dia. Dan here you go, the spot's on you.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Oke, gue kenalin diri gue. For those of you who don't know, my name is Arafi. Akrab dipanggil Ara atau Rafi if I'm introducing myself in English. So, I go by both. And sekarang gue finishing up my bachelor's in Groningen, but also I'm continuing my master's in Rotterdam. So, yes, bigger, brighter things ahead of me.
Well, that's wonderful to hear that from you.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a good plan though ahead. I'm wishing you all the best.
For you as well.
Okay,
It's gonna be a good year.
But we're just gonna start with the topic that we're talking. Kan kita kan ngomongin tentang the perks of being a multilingual. Nah, ini tuh yang kenapa gue tertarik sama topik ini itu karena ya gue bilang tadi kan kayak ya lo bisa beberapa bahasa dan I think it's really like an additional points gitu loh. Karena bahasa itu sendiri kan ya lo tau lah bahasa itu kebutuhan primer gitu loh, bukan sekunder ya kan. Kayak kalau kita ngomongin
Very true.
Jadi itu benar-benar lo mau kemana pun you need to know at least one language gitu loh, at least mother
That's
tongue
true.
lo. Cuman lo nggak bisa ngandelin mother tongue lo. Misalnya kita ini kan Indo
No.
gitu kan, and we're always like kalau di Indo pun kita selalu ngomong pakai bahasa Indo. Sedangkan if you're outside, you need to at least know the international language, which is English.
Yep.
Cuma
So, menurut gue juga in this day and age, being bilingual is the norm.
yes,
So, it's either your mother tongue, in which karena kita orang Indonesia, it won't help internationally.
Yeah.
And then English is the way to go.
yes,
So, knowing 2 languages minimum is great.
benar. Emang maksudnya kayak it doesn't have to be like a multilingual that you know 3, 4 or 7 languages. At
No.
least you know 2.
But being bilingual is the norm. It's enough. And you can basically make your way into the world just being bilingual.
True.
You know.
At least kayak lo ngerti bahasa Inggris menurut gue ya, other than your mother tongue gitu loh. Karena English is considered as like the international language. Jadi kayak at least you know that gitu loh. Maksudnya you don't have to be a pro for it. at least you
No.
get the grip of it gitu loh, kayak at least
Yeah.
you know the basic, ya kan? Nah,
Very true.
tapi yang gue penasaran nih, dan mungkin penonton atau pendengar pasti penasaran, ada berapa banyak bahasa yang lo kuasain?
Me.
Ya, lo.
Okay. This is interesting. I'm gonna be a little bit cocky. I'm gonna be a little bit showing off. But officially it's 5 languages.
Okay.
I'm getting to 6. So of course Indonesian itu bahasa ibu gue. So that's my mother tongue. I speak it daily. I think I speak it best. Tapi I don't really speak good Indonesian just because gue tuh mix bahasa Indonesia dan bahasa Inggris.
Yang kayak dari
And
tadi
that's
kita
just
lakuin
the way
gitu
I
kan?
yeah, and that's just the way I speak. Itu normalnya gue ngomongnya kayak gitu. So just to speak in full Indonesian tuh kadang-kadang gue kagok sendiri. I know it's like weird, but that's just the way I speak gitu. And then English, itu I started speaking English when I was 5 because before that I couldn't speak any English, and then my mom kind of forced me into it. Terus abis itu masuk sekolah SD yang ya internasional. Jadi I spoke English on a daily basis, and of course kalau misalnya belajar bahasa dari masa dini gitu, dari umur yang muda, language is gonna stick with you for the long time. So that's why sekarang tuh being bilingual is just me.
Okay.
But then I've always have an interest in languages. Jadinya tuh gue realized I want to learn another language. I want to learn another language. I want to be able to speak in another language rather than just like English and Indonesian. Jadinya in middle school I got Arabic, but then Arabic's kind of hard and I'm not really like getting the hang of the language. High school gue dapet German. I was good at it, but I don't like it. It's not the language that I want. And then French. So after doing French for 2-3 years, I learned it by myself. And then now I live in Europe. Banyak ketemu orang yang bisa bahasa Prancis, so I can speak French now. Probably not as fluent, but I can hold on a conversation and I understand everything. It's great. After that I moved on to Portuguese. Gue bahasa Portugis sebenarnya belajar karena gue suka banget lagu bossa nova.
Okay.
So yeah. And then I was very infatuated with Portuguese culture, Brazilian culture. Jadinya I want to learn the language, and it's a really interesting language because it's the same language family, cuman just sounds very different. So I learned Portuguese. Now I can speak Portuguese. I'm losing it though karena udah lama gak ngomong. And then gue just around the start of the pandemic, gue belajar Italian. And then that summer I went to Rome and Naples. I used my Italian. I was able to carry a convoy in Italian, and I learned Italian for like 3-4 months. And then so Italian. So that's like 5 languages officially. Then this summer, gue pas itu spent 2 weeks in Paris, brushed up my French. So now my French is back on track. After I was in Paris, gue ke Barcelona, I realized that I do understand Spanish. And gue tuh bisa ngomong dikit. So now I'm learning Spanish. And I'm continuing with learning Spanish. So yeah, so 5 to 6 languages.
Okay, wow, that's impressive. Maksud gue kayak belajar bahasa baru tuh cukup menantang sih menurut gue sebagai orang yang suka bahasa ya. Kayak maksudnya gue ngerasa gue juga tahu beberapa bahasa. Maksudnya kayak
Kalau lo bahasa apa?
I don't want to say I'm pro, but gue bisa bahasa yang I would say like the top 3 yang benar-benar emang I would say like those language itu yang emang gue kuasain ya istilahnya. Itu tuh Indo of course karena gue orang Indo. And then English itu like the international yang dari tadi kita udah bilang. And then the third would be Mandarin karena keluarga gue itu keluarga ya cukup kental lah aliran Cinanya. Jadi gue tuh dari kecil udah dilatih sama nenek gue. Nah karena itu
just Mandarin, not Hokkien or something.
Gue bukan dari Hokkien, gue Kek.
Oh, okay.
Jadi lebih lebih kasar ya jatuhnya. Karena kan Kek itu lebih kasar. Cuman gue
So Mandarin is the way to go.
Mandarin is like the normal thing gitu kan. Nah cuman buat denger kayak bahasa yang similar to Mandarin kayak Canton atau like kayak Hokkien gitu, I can still listen, like I can still understand what they're talking about. Tapi I wouldn't say like I know how to reply it gitu loh. Tapi if you're talking to me in like Mandarin, using Mandarin, I know what to answer. Kayak karena gue tahu I got the basic at least. Jadi kayak kalau misalnya dulu nih jokes ya gue sama nenek atau sama keluarga gue, lu kalau gue lepasin ke Cina, lu bakal tetap hidup gitu loh istilahnya. Karena gue masih tahu.
But that's impressive though. Like Mandarin is a hard language.
I know, like kind of. I think why people might think Mandarin is hard is because of like we have intonations, gitu kan? Kita ada 4 intonations. Characters, exactly.
Karena like it's like learning Vietnamese and Thai, which has intonations. The wrong intonation can make a word mean different.
True, bener. Karena
and that's what I haven't like processed yet with language learning. That's why I'm like learning all these like Romance languages like French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese just because it's very similar to English and I want to speak another language. Jadinya yang kayak okay, let me learn this and then I'll move on to the next.
Okay,
but then
I see.
Of course you and then like you have your heritage, then you just dive into Mandarin.
True, yeah.
It's just really impressive gitu because intonation is hard.
It is. Kayak gue sendiri pun yang yang udah dilatih dari kecil kadang masih salah. Kayak kadang bisa I pronounce the wrong intonation gitu loh. Dan gue yang kayak perasaan gue nggak salah gitu loh. Nah cuman yang udah pro pasti bilang kayak enggak lo salah ngomongnya. Nah cuman kan itu it needs like I think like you
need
practice,
immersion.
Yeah. You need to have the practice as well. Jadi kayak bener-bener itu top 3 gue, tapi gue juga belajar beberapa bahasa lain kan. Cuman karena lo tadi udah bilang juga lo lebih ke arah Eropa sih kalau menurut gue ya, kayak yang French, Portuguese, Italian gitu-gitu. Kalau gue lebih ke Asia nih, karena mungkin dukungan batin kali ya, dukungan batin gue yang mengatakan gue harus belajar Asia lebih banyak. Tapi gue bisanya lagi belajar bahasa Korea sekarang. I know people are like hype about Korean stuff, tapi it's not only because of those stuff gitu loh gue mempelajari karena emang
it helps, those stuffs help.
Yeah, like if you have like an interest for those stuff, pasti itu akan menambah lagi kayak your knowledge about the language, ya nggak sih?
No. Exactly, and like 2 summers ago, I got into the whole hype of like the Korean pop culture and stuff. I decided to learn Hangul, and now I can read Hangul. I don't understand everything, but I can read Hangul. So that's one thing, and I think after learning all these Romance languages, gue mungkin bakal jump ke Korean gitu.
Go for it. You can have like 7 languages then kan. Nah terus other than Korean that I'm studying, I used to learn like German and Japanese di
high school,
ya. Kalau Japanese di high school, tapi kalau German itu awalnya gue kan emang pengen ke Jerman sebelum gue ke Belanda. Jadi I need to learn the language, and I think it was pretty far actually, like the levelnya gue. Tapi I decided not to.
Because my level is just A1. No, because my level is just A1.
I got until like B2-1.
That's impressive though. Yeah.
Tapi kayak that's it.
No, kayak I mean I had high school German, so I was doing it to pass.
Yeah,
and funny story, the high school, the German teacher was also my mom's German teacher, so it's like historically. So I mean I was good in German, but now I can't like really understand anything.
Okay, I mean like you know that the thing about language itu kayak kadang ada titik jenuhnya kalau buat gue. Awalnya gue emang pengen ke Jerman kan, karena ya satu terlepas dari kuliah gratis dan lain-lain, lu tertarik dengan kuliah gratis itu gitu loh. Cuman ketika gue mencari tahu lagi, gue mikir kayak I don't think German has like you know, karena gue kan sekolahnya media, and I don't think German has that gitu loh. Jadi gue coba cari dulu nih ke Belanda. Ya udah akhirnya gue ke situ. Cuman I think kenapa gue juga pengen belajar Jerman, gue hitung-hitung sekarang jatuhnya kayak ya udah ini tambahan bahasa gue gitu loh. Tapi I wouldn't say
that's true.
I wouldn't say gue bakalan bisa kayak survive di German for like I don't know a year karena gue punya kayak although gue udah B21 tapi it's still like you know I don't have the nerve you know to like oh my god stay there for like a year and then like just survive with my common knowledge
Broken
language,
German.
yeah, broken German. What do you expect gitu loh, yang ada gue malah kayak
Exactly.
bro.
And it's not the Netherlands di mana everybody here speaks good
Yes,
English,
yes,
even though
yes.
they say they don't speak good English, you know? And that's also the minus part, because if you actually want to learn Dutch, it's really hard because you're not immersed enough untuk orang-orang, so for you to actually be forced to learn the language.
Yes.
After living here 2 years, I do understand almost like everything, and I can speak the language just because naturally gue emang nangkep bahasa tuh cepet. But because I don't speak it every day, and a lot of people here just rather speak English to me rather than Dutch, jadinya I'm not forced to learn the language, and you know, Dutch isn't really the best sounding language ever. So kayak maksud gue, interest-wise masih kurang, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna catch up to Dutch soon.
Yeah,
Gitu.
yeah. I get it. I get your point.
So,
Karena gue
7 languages.
Karena gue pun ngerasa kalau buat Dutch ya, meskipun gue udah pernah belajar Jerman nih, it's similar, but it's different gitu loh. And it's the same thing with karena gue bisa Mandarin, terus gue lagi belajar Korea sama dulu pernah belajar Jepang. Itu tiga-tiganya kan punya karakter masing-masing.
Iya, itu dia.
Nah, itu yang orang-orang bilang, San, lu gila gitu loh. Karena itu
Yeah, that's
udah
true.
beda semua. And then you know how to read those language or like those characters. It's like one thing ahead gitu kan, or like
Yeah.
1 plus point gitu loh. Nah, dan menurut gue bukannya mau sombong atau gimana, tapi emang itu cukup sulit kalau misalnya lu belajarnya kayak setengah-setengah. Ngerti gak maksudnya? Dan gue pernah ngalamin itu waktu gue pas SMA. Karena kan gue lebih ke Mandarin, ya kan, dari kecil. Terus tiba-tiba gue harus belajarnya bahasa Jepang. Karena dulu opsinya 2, antara Jepang atau Cina atau Mandarin. Cuman gue IPA, jadi gue dapetnya Jepang. IPS dapetnya Mandarin. Nah, ya udah gue belajar Jepang, berarti gue belajar lagi dari nol tuh. Dari yang kayak I have no idea about Japanese. Terus gue belajar, gue mikir, awal-awal tuh gue mikir, aduh, Jepang susah banget, mending Mandarin gitu kan, karena I'm used to Mandarin.
Yes.
Tapi once I actually like study that language for like 2 years, gue ngerasa no, actually Japanese is much more easier than Mandarin.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with
Yeah.
Korean. Karena kenapa gue bilang ini gampang? Karena Korea sama Jepang tuh karakternya sama
Simple.
ininya udah ada gitu kan. Jadi kayak lu tinggal sambung-sambungin. Itu yang menurut gue lebih gampang untuk
Exactly.
dimengerti.
Dan kayak the way Korean characters work is like alphabet. And it's like if you get the hang of syllables, itu udah gitu loh.
Iya.
You're good to go basically.
Yes, kayak
To read, not to speak. To read.
iya, kalau
Jadi yang kayak
kalau di Korea misalnya kayak si Hangulnya gitu kan. Terus kalau di Jepang kan katakana sama hiragananya. Sedangkan kalau di Mandarin ya
No.
gitu deh gitu. Maksudnya kayak
And because
ribet
I
aja.
think it's because lo udah used to Mandarin yang emang technically way harder. Japanese and Korean is actually a piece of cake gitu.
True. Kayak gue
Karena karakternya bukan yang kayak kompleks dan kayak it's different for everything gitu loh.
bener.
Ya.
Kayak apa ya kalau misalnya
Speaking of which, can you
apa?
like I want to hear you speak Mandarin deh. a little bit.
Mandarin. Okay, like just a
Yeah.
small introduction.
Yeah, small introduction.
Okay.
I'll do the same.
Okay. Mandarin ya. Okay. Karena gue punya nama Mandarin, jadi I'll just say my Mandarin name as well karena it's easier for me. Okay. 大家好，我是叶启祥，我是21岁，我住在Bekasi，我是印尼人。
Oh, okay.
然后我学习在荷兰。谢谢大家。Can you guess
Oh.
itu gue ngomong apa aja?
Lo tinggal di Bekasi. Lo belajar di Belanda. Thank you. In the end.
Tapi gue juga ngucapin umur gue sih. Arsha itu 21.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay.
Okay, now your
Alright.
turn.
Okay. Let me try from French.
Okay.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Rafi et j'ai 22 ans. J'habite aux Pays-Bas, à Groningen. J'étudie commerce international. E eu falo pouco de português por causa eu amo de música bossa nova e cultura do Brasil. E lá gente brasileiro que beleza, que muito alegria. So parlare un po' in italiano perché mi piace pasta e pizza e Italia. Quando visité Italia a Roma, a Napoli, a Positano, l'estate last summer. I'm like getting rusty.
No worries.
Molto maravillosa.
Okay.
Yo hablo un poquito de español. I guess
Okay.
that's like
I mean,
a little bit of a language block. I mean, after like switching, you know.
I get
Cuando
that.
visité Barcelona este verano, lo sé y lo entiendo un poquito de español. Así que estoy aprendiendo un poquito de español ahora.
I mean, it's still impressive
En
though.
ik spreek een beetje Nederlands, maar niet zo goed, maar ik kan bestellen.
Wow.
Okay, that's it.
I mean,
Switching. I never switched that fast actually, so this is like,
I know, like yang tadi gue bilang kan, gue kan sering ngeliat lo juga nih di FYP ya. Tapi kayak, it's
okay.
still impressive though. It's still impressive. Like, to see it live.
Can you guess what I said? Okay.
Okay.
To see it live is different.
Yeah. Wait, I'll try like the first yang pertama-tama itu. I think you're talking about like there like what you also said in the introduction about like
Yes, I said French.
yeah, why you want to learn, or like you got influenced by like the music and also like with
I said that in Portuguese.
yeah, you said that in Portuguese.
Yes.
Like I got confused because like yang gue tahu nih bahasa yang lu pelajarin itu juga similar. Ngerti gak sih kayak
Yeah.
kayak Portuguese,
Yeah.
Italian sama French. I don't
It's the
think
same language
French is
family.
like pretty similar, tapi for Italian sama Portuguese it's similar karena gue pernah coba apa ya? At least know a little bit about Italian because I got I fell in love with the culture, you know, with like Italian culture.
okay.
Jadi kayak gue
I thought you were
mempelajari
gonna say you fell in love with an Italian.
I never actually fell for an Italian guy, not yet though. But
Okay.
like gue taunya Portuguese sama Italian tuh mirip-mirip kayak the way they say
Yes.
love itu it's
Yes.
the same like ti amo or like
Amo, ama.
Yeah.
You know.
it's similar gitu loh. Makanya gue bilang
Quando,
kayaknya
quanto.
kayak gue punya bahasa itu lebih ke Asia, sedangkan lo kan lebih ke yang Eropa. Tapi tetap aja
Yeah.
we still have like the same thing yang kayak kita mempelajari sesuatu yang mirip-mirip satu dengan yang lain gitu loh.
Yes, exactly. Dan kayak mas gue, that's also my cheat. Karena kayak I want to speak many languages. Actually, kalau misalnya orang belajar bahasa dari the same language family, most likely they will share words or grammar or structure. So it's easier for you to learn the language. Pas gue belajar bahasa Perancis awal-awal, that was hard. Karena yang kayak you have the pronunciation, you have the tenses yang kayak ribet gitu loh. Bahasa Perancis tuh benar terstruktur dengan rapih, di mana yang kayak you need to be proper. And then you learn Portuguese, you notice kayak, oh, there are some like word similarities. And what's interesting, karena kita ngomong bahasa Indonesia, we have to remember that the Portuguese were actually the first colonial power yang nyampe. So, a lot of Indonesian words comes from Portuguese. I can give an example, kayak bandera, bendera, mantega, mentega, bangku, bangku, kemeja, kemeja, meza, meja, you know, keju, keju. A lot of these similarities, di mana pas gue belajar bahasa Portugis tuh kayak, that's an Indonesian word. And then kayak I noticed like, and then I looked it up, roots bahasa Indonesianya tuh bahasa Portugis. So yeah, it's actually really interesting to see that you would never expect bahasa Portugis gitu loh ada di bahasa Indonesia. But it actually that's like historically true. So when I learned Portuguese, jadinya yang kayak okay, like it's great, kayak it's made it much easier.
True,
and then
true.
Portuguese and Portuguese, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian has a lot of similar words. Jadinya kayak that's the cheat.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more gitu loh. Karena gue notice juga beberapa bahasa Belanda actually sama gitu loh di Indo. Yang kayak gratis,
Exactly.
it's also gratis gitu kan. Or like
Yeah,
some
it's the same with Dutch.
some words itu tuh sebenarnya campuran gitu loh. That's the funny thing about language menurut gue ya. Yang they just put a lot of like, you know, different language and then make it into one. And then there, you have your own language gitu loh. Tapi
Yeah.
yang tadi lu bilang juga language block, that's actually one of like the apa ya, difficulties as like a multilingual gitu loh menurut gue. Karena
Betul.
kayak dari tadi kan kita cuma sebutin alasan gitu kan, kenapa kita belajar bahasa, terus the facts, tapi
Yeah,
kayak
that's true. There's a lot of reasons for us to learn the language, and especially for you and me. Kayak we have the interest and we're more like globally minded. Of course, learning a language is like a given interest. And that's why I like living in Europe juga, because I meet all these people yang kayak I would never be able to practice my languages at home di Jakarta, di mana yang kayak gue nggak bakal bisa ngomong gitu dan kayak make it better. And then here you have more international friends, lo coba ngomong dikit, at least you have the effort, you have the teman untuk lo bisa kayak ngobrol. It's just really nice. That's why I kind of like it here gitu. Basically it's like an extra reason.
I mean, I think bukannya gue mau bilang kalau misalnya masyarakat itu nggak gimana-gimana, not that way gitu loh. Tapi kayak gue lebih ngerasa orang luar kadang tuh lebih menghargai aja. Like if they know you can speak more than two languages tuh kayak wow,
and
you're something else gitu
and
loh.
the thing is that in Europe being trilingual, quadringual is normal. Dimana yang kayak you have some countries dimana they have 3 languages, like Switzerland or Luxembourg or say I don't know, like probably Belgium. Itu they have like multiple languages dimana yang kayak usually everybody would speak everything. And because they have open borders, jadinya kan gampang untuk orang-orang pergi gitu. You encounter a lot of people, jadinya yang kayak bisa gitu.
Yes, true.
Yeah, and it's the same for like, because you have like shared language families and stuff, and then like history made like some words kayak ke-influence satu sama lain gitu in the same region. And that's also the case for Indonesian, because Indonesian kan language family-nya Austronesian, and it's originated from Taiwan, but now a lot of Southeast Asian languages like Malay, Tagalog gitu-gitu tuh yang kayak even like Polynesian languages like Hawaiian, Samoan gitu, it's actually connected just because it's from the same language family. If you see some words atau yang kayak if you count 1 to 5, usually we have the same thing. All of these languages we say lima gitu. And I just found out about it, and it's like everybody says lima, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I thought it's only Indonesian and Malay, but apparently all these languages juga gitu. So it's just really interesting, and it makes the world seems more connected, which is it feels really nice, you know.
That's what I'm also saying gitu loh dari awal kan, kayak language is like kebutuhan primer for everyone gitu loh, not just for us but like for the whole world gitu loh, cause like you can be connected if you know a language gitu loh. And don't take it as like something that is hard to learn or like anything else, tapi kayak despite like all the hard stuff or like yang tadi kita udah bilang juga kan, yang kita bilang kayak there's gonna be a language block for sure gitu loh. Sebagai for example me yang meskipun kayak my Mandarin is like I practice that from like a kid, it's still a hard thing for me to do up until now. Karena to keep up with the language itself gitu loh, yang it's not your mother tongue pun, it requires a lot of effort. Itu loh menurut gue yang kayak apalagi lu multilingual gitu loh, yang kayak gue bahasa Indo iya, bahasa Inggris iya, bahasa Mandarin iya. Nah lu muter-muter di antara 3 bahasa itu pusing sendiri lo nya.
Nah iya. Kayak gue mentok-mentok tuh kalau misalnya mixed language itu pasti Indonesian and English, and that's just the way I normally speak. As I mentioned, gue belum pernah yang namanya mix 3 languages in one gitu loh. Kayak itu gue beneran gak pernah, karena yang kayak I was never in the position to do so. Maybe yes if I'm missing some words gitu, yang kayak there's a word in French, I want to say it in Indonesian tapi bingung, so I'll say it in French and I'll explain it gitu. Tapi never like mix all 3. And language block, as you heard before, like when I was like switching from one language to another, it's like one time I was like saying Portuguese, and the next I was trying to speak Italian, but then tiba-tiba jadi Spanish gitu loh, kayak, and it's the same language family, so it's even easier to have a language block. Kayak funny story about language block. One time when I was in Italy, kayak pas itu kan I came from Amsterdam, and by then tuh gue belum traveling sama sekali, so I was like, okay, let me just try to like speak Dutch a little bit and everything. And by then my Italian was already getting better, so when I was in Italy, gue coba ngomong bahasa Itali kan, bisa ngomong, tiba-tiba pas gue mau agree to something, gue bilangnya iya, instead of C, which is like Dutch. Jadinya yang kayak orangnya tiba-tiba langsung switch ke English. Gue yang kayak aduh, like no, that's not what I meant. Ngerti gak sih? Kayak gue tuh like you know there's a lot of shit going on in my brain. Jadinya yang kayak C, yeah I don't know, like it's just, kayak jadinya tiba-tiba yang keluar apa gitu loh. So that's the language block for me. And sometimes kalau misalnya lagi try to carry on a conversation, it was a good conversation, terus tiba-tiba yang kayak what is this word? Terus gue yang kayak together. Terus dia yang kayak misalnya in French like ensemble. Terus gue kayak okay, like terus gue langsung ulang lagi kalimatnya, terus kayak gue bilang lagi. Terus jadi yang kayak language block is real. Jadi yang kayak
I mean not only kayak for multilinguals ya, even for like Indo sama Inggris, you still have that language block gitu loh menurut gue.
yes.
Karena kadang
Very
kita
true.
ngerti bahasa bahasa Indonya, lupa bahasa Inggris ya, sedangkan kita harus ngomong pakai bahasa Inggris. Nah, kayak kan lu ngejelasinnya ribet gitu loh, muter-muter lu terus habis itu kasih tahu
exactly.
lagi. Tapi
Atau kayak I know a lot of kids di Indo yang kadang-kadang tuh tahu Inggrisnya cuman nggak tahu Indonesianya.
iya.
Jadi
bisa
yang
juga.
kayak itu common, menurut gue common sih di apalagi di Jakarta gitu. Jadi yang kayak I was used to that, but then now that I'm here, jadinya tuh yang kayak kadang-kadang kayak oh wait I have to speak in English. Gue yang kayak gitu loh, kayak kadang-kadang suka yang kayak oh shit gitu. Itu beneran kayak paniknya tuh dapet gitu loh sebenarnya.
Iya, ngerti. Apalagi berarti kan maksud gue gini, kayak lo tadi udah ngejelasin juga, lo berarti pernah kayak ngobrol sama orang lokal dan lo ngomong bahasa itu gitu kan. Berarti kayak istilahnya lo mencoba challenge yourself untuk menggunakan bahasa yang udah lo pelajarin sama ini, gitu kan maksudnya.
Iya.
Nah, tapi pernah nggak kayak lo lagi let's just say jalan-jalan, ini bukan lo yang nanya ya, tapi kayak tiba-tiba lo didatengin sama orang lokal, terus ya udah tiba-tiba karena dia ngerasa lo tuh kayak orang lokal, ya udah gue tanya directions deh ke dia gitu loh. Pernah nggak?
Oh. Yes, actually pernah. Tapi other than like Malaysia, because that's just like you know, kayak and you know kayak understanding Malaysian is just easy gitu sebenarnya.
Karena itu Melayu itu kan kayak
Jadi,
campuran
Melayu
Indo
gitu
ya
loh.
kan? Campuran
It's
Indo
the-
dikit.
Iya, jadi yang kayak mas gue kan tampangnya kan juga Melayu gitu loh. Jadi kalau misal di Malaysia, that's a given. I was in Spain dan yang kayak I mean they just started speaking Spanish to me gitu loh. And maybe I look like Latin American. I don't look Latin American. Cuman yang kayak maybe like indigenous South American gitu loh. Kan kayak it's a bit similar. Like a lot of Mexicans kind of look like Filipinos, hence kind of look like Indonesians. Jadinya pas I was in Barcelona or Madrid, kayak pas itu ya langsung ngomong aja bahasa Spanyol gitu. But then by then I couldn't speak Spanish yet, so like gue langsung kayak switch ke English. And in Spain, not a lot of people can speak English that well, so you gotta like work your way around it. So I used like my Portuguese to kind of like help me with that, you know. So yeah, basically that happened. And also maybe in Paris, just because France is a more united country where French is the language. So and then even if you're a foreigner, most likely you're gonna speak French. So they just started speaking French to me, and that's like fine. So that happens a lot. And maybe here in the Netherlands, just because banyak orang Indo yang tinggal di sini. But I don't speak Dutch, so I don't think that counts. But yeah.
No, tapi kayak itu yang lucu sih menurut gue, karena pasti banyak juga
Makanya.
yang multilingual yang pasti ngerasain gitu, karena
Yeah.
gue sendiri pernah gitu kan.
You had that too,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah.
had that problem ketika gue di bandara Hong Kong. Jadi itu gue transit konteksnya. Itu gue konteksnya transit doang yang ini sebelum COVID, karena after COVID kita nggak bisa kemana-mana kan. Nah cuman ini sebelum COVID gue tuh
Of course.
lagi mau pulang ke Indo jatuhnya. Cuman lucunya menurut gue depan gue, kita lagi di kayak I think bukan di imigrasinya sih, lebih ke arah yang di transitnya, yang pas mau masuk ke atasnya lagi
Yeah.
pertukarannya. Itu kan ada pemeriksaan lagi kan, kayak apa yang lo bawa di tas tenteng lo gitu.
Yeah.
Itu depan gue tuh jelas-jelas bule. Dia ngomong pakai bahasa Inggris. Berarti di otak gue, gue mikirnya, oh dia ngomong ke gue bahasa Inggris juga, tenang gitu kan. Terus tiba-tiba dia pas nyampe giliran gue ngomong langsung pakai bahasa Mandarin. Gue bingung dong. Gue kayak, wah.
Mandarin or Cantonese, because it's Hong Kong.
They use Mandarin tapi di kemarin.
Mandarin ya?
Cuman kalaupun Canton,
Terus lo-
kalaupun Canton gue masih ngerti, cuman gue nggak bisa balas aja kan. Nah, cuman ini masalahnya dia tuh ngomong pakai bahasa Mandarin, gue yang kayak,
Mandarin, kaget dikit ya?
gue kaget doang, gue yang kayak, hah, kenapa jadi gue bahasa Mandarin? Kayak maksudnya, I'm not like kesel atau kayak gimana karena dia ngomong bahasa Mandarin ke gue ya, tapi kayak I know as well karena mungkin muka gue yang oriental banget gitu loh, yang mereka ngerasa wah ini orang Mandarin dah, gue ngomong Mandarin aja gitu kan. Ya udah akhirnya mereka ngomong Mandarin, mereka suruh gue buka tas gue karena kayak ada laptop gue kan, gue nggak keluarin laptop, jadi mereka suruh gue keluarin laptop, kayak mereka memeriksa. Oh ya udah akhirnya mereka kasih arahan doang. Cuman kan jujur aja kalau menurut gue nih, kadang orang-orang Indo sendiri suka tengsin kalau misalnya
betul.
mereka nggak, misalnya yang tadi gitu loh, kayak if they actually felt that situation, pasti mereka yang kayak kalau misalnya mereka nggak tahu, pasti mereka tengsin kayak gimana gitu kan. Cuman kebetulan gue tahu bahasanya, jadi gue yang kayak nggak gimana, gue cuma kayak oh ya udah, kayak gue kaget doang gitu kan yang gue rasain. Cuman apa ya, kayak lucu aja gitu loh jadinya, kayak you have your own story untuk bahasa gitu, kayak yang mungkin orang lain ngerasain tapi lo ngerasain, cuman lo ngerasa you have the power for it.
See, and that's the thing. Kayak gini deh, for me, I mean, and also for many of like multilinguals, polyglots, you name it out there that are learning another language, and if you're in the country itself, then people think you're a local. That's a big achievement. Dan yang kayak that's a really something to be proud of, just because kayak then you know you're doing something right with learning this language and you can actually speak it well. Jadinya tuh yang kayak bangga sendiri jatuhnya. So for example, when I was in France, jadinya kayak I'm glad that people understood my French and just spoke French normally, gak perlu yang di dumb it down gitu loh. Jadinya kayak I'm kind of glad, just because kayak well I do understand what you're saying, just keep speaking French to me and I will you know kayak please don't switch to English. Kayak now every time I'm like sometimes when I'm like, kalau misalnya udah stuck banget, of course I'll switch to English, but like whenever I'm trying to have the conversation, most likely in France, in Spain, Portugal or Italy, itu tuh gue yang kayak berharap every time I'm starting this conversation, don't switch to English, like please don't. Kayak maksud gue
like you,
just like help me help
gue
me like force me into learning this language gitu.
I get that
I'm trying,
karena
I'm really trying.
Karena gue
jadi
juga
kayak,
kalau di Belanda sendiri itu kan banyak restoran Cina ya, kayak restoran-restoran yang menurut gue juga ada harga student sih, jadi kayak it's fine for me to go there gitu kan. Nah waktu itu gue pernah lagi makan di Vatke di Den Haag itu sama teman-teman Indo gue kan, tapi bukan kayak like dari Indo datang ke Belanda gitu loh. Jadi gue nemenin mereka, gue makan di sana. Kan di sana orang-orang orang-orang Cina bisa ngomong Mandarin. Terus mereka langsung ngomong ke gue pakai bahasa Mandarin. Ya udah gue balas dong. Terus mereka kayak, "Hah, lu bisa ngomong bahasa Mandarin?" Kayak, "Oh ya udah, akhirnya gue harus mau nggak mau gue harus pesan pakai bahasa Mandarin gitu kan." Tapi kayak I think itu yang menurut gue kayak, wow, I don't really need to like blend in or like to fit in gitu loh. Yang dengan small things aja yang kayak gue bisa bahasa itu, gue ngerti lu ngomong apa. Mereka yang kayak, oh ya udah, oke, gue bakal ngomongin itu kalau gitu kan. Gue bakal ngobrol sama lo, terus ya udah akhirnya gue sampai selesai makan pun sampai bayar itu mereka selalu ngomong pakai bahasa Mandarin. Nah tapi yang gue suka adalah itu bukannya kayak gue mau mereka ngomongnya pakai bahasa Inggris ya kalau gue nggak ngerti, enggak. Gue pengennya lu membenarkan gue kalau gue salah.
Yes,
itu
exactly.
yang gue bilang.
Itu gue senang. And for me, probably the scariest part of learning the language itu for me, with all the languages that I speak, is French. Karena the French are very kayak conceited. They're very like have a strong character and stuff like that. Jadinya tuh kayak if you get a mistake, you'll get scared because like the French are gonna like kayak they're gonna come for you, or even though they couldn't care less gitu. But then like after spending 2 weeks in Paris, tuh gue kayak people actually like it if you learn gitu loh. And that goes for a lot of countries, especially in Europe.
Yes.
Karena yang kayak, I mean, it's a more open type of culture, dimana yang kayak a lot of people move in, move out. Jadinya yang kayak they're happy if you actually know the language. And for a country like Italy, dimana yang immigration-nya tuh dikit gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya pas gue di Italy, I don't look Italian. There's less immigrants in Italy. Jadinya yang kayak mau ngomong bahasa Italia juga kayak should I not? Of course they're gonna speak to me in English. I tried, they did speak to me in Italian. That's fine. Terus kayak I also had the same experience juga when I was in France with my friends. Terus yang kayak speaking to the Uber driver. kayak ya udah kayak gue yang ngomong bahasa Prancis terus teman-teman gue yang cuma kayak diam, cuma terima jadi aja kayak oke untung lo bisa bahasa Prancis, jadi kayak lo aja yang ngomong, terus yang kayak gue cuma pengen nyampe di tempat gue kayak oh ya udah oke.
I think
And
kayak,
I'm glad because I like to speak that.
Dan menurut
terus
gue
abis itu kayak pas gue di Barcelona juga yang kayak pas gue di Barcelona juga yang kayak by then tuh gue baru-baru banget kayak bahasa Spanyol gue paham, gue bisa ngomong dikit. I try to speak it, ordering, asking for directions, stuff like that. Teman-teman gue cuma kayak oh lo bisa bahasa Spanyol juga. Oke, untung dia ada lo di sini, kayak untung lo nyampe. Gue kayak oh ya oke. Kayak thank you for like I'm proud of myself too.
Iya, itu kan kayak you felt like the proud within yourself gitu loh dengan hal kecil aja sebenarnya kayak order makanan dengan kayak mungkin karena lu pasti belajar otodidak dong, kayak lu belajar sendiri karena les cukup mahal sih menurut gue untuk kayak kalau lu pengen belajar bahasa. I only took I only took one French course and that was a really cheap one, but it kind of helped for me to brush up French dong. Sure. But otherwise gue autodidak just because kayak I asked my mom buat sign myself up to classes and stuff like that. Cuman nyokap gue itu yang kayak satu mau ngirit, dua yang kayak she knows that I can teach myself. Jadinya kayak 4 languages. Jadinya yang kayak yaudah lo otodidak aja kan kayak ngirit, kamu kan juga bisa. Terus gue kayak okay deh, like I wanted something more proper, but sure I guess gitu. So no, I get that. I get that. Then I think like those were like the bukannya cuma difficulties tapi kayak pasti as like a multilingual you might run into those kind of situations gitu loh, yang kayak lo dikira lokal, terus lo harus kayak not fit in tapi try to just like go with it gitu loh, karena lo udah bisa bahasanya. Itu yang menurut gue plus pointnya if you are multilingual. Nah, cuman sebelum we end this, I think it's better if like you can share your tips and tricks gitu loh, karena kan lo bilang sendiri lo otodidak nih. Buat orang-orang yang pengen belajar bahasa tapi kan pasti kadang masih kayak aduh takut nih bahasa susah, atau kayak aduh kalau gue belajar bahasa nanti orang-orang ngira gue sombong lagi atau gimana gitu loh. Jadi kayak what would you say?
Alright, my tips, I'll start with the tips. Kayak karena gue autodidak dan segala macam, I usually try to immerse myself as much as possible in the language. Pas zaman-zaman gue belum tinggal di Eropa, I switched my phone to the language I want to learn. So I switched my phone to French. Pas itu terus kayak watch French movies. There's a lot of good ones. Dan or Netflix, now there's a lot on Netflix, especially Lupang. Gue suka banget. YouTube, there's a lot of YouTubers that do language videos or like try to teach you languages, or there's a lot of Instagram pages like French words. Itu yang kayak okay, they'll post on the daily, I think. Dan yang kayak you'll get more words, kayak jatuhnya kayak you learn more vocabulary. And that leads to the second tip. Itu yang kayak get to know the language and the country and the culture. It's gonna help you learn the language. 1, 2, it's gonna help if you know the core words and the core vocabularies. Every language itu ada kayak around 1,000 most common words in the language itself, and it's the language that is like used like I don't know about 80%. It's not accurate, but like it's like about 80% of the daily conversations. Learn that and start with that, and then expand your vocabulary as you go. But then start with the most common vocabularies, words in the language itself. Itu pasti ada. What else? I usually just like use Netflix for like understanding, and Netflix kan seru ya untuk ditonton. Jadi yang kayak it's actually nice to just like watch something, get the storyline, but also get the language while it's like you watching Korean dramas maybe gitu.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I mean, itu yang menurut gue sekarang lebih enak, cause like we live in like a modern lifestyle yang jujur aja gampang kemana-mana, gampang aksesnya, and also banyak banget sekarang yang ngajarin materi language itu yang gratis gitu loh. You can hear it from podcast. Kalau misalnya lo lagi ada kerjaan, just play the podcast gitu loh, karena banyak yang ngajarin bahasa. Ada kemarin tuh gue cari-cari kan, ada Thailand, ada Korean, ada English, even English really? Gitu loh, ada yang diajarin.
Wow, that's nice. Dan kayak also like with the apps, like language learning apps. I know it's not that effective, but it works if you want to fix your structure or if you want to fix your grammar. Kayak Duolingo, people talk shit about Duolingo a lot gitu loh. Cuman yang kayak it actually helps for structure. I have to say that gitu loh. Not for conversations and stuff. You're not gonna say I'm a sandwich, you know. But it helps for structure and like SPOK gitu.
Iya.
It helps.
Bener-bener.
Yeah, it really helps for Duolingo. And then there's this other app called Hello Talk. Itu yang kayak I tried it once, dan yang kayak you can meet a lot of people that
yang with the native language-nya mereka nggak sih, terus kita ngobrol gitu ya?
Yeah, with the native language or the language that they're learning, and then you can find people that can speak, say, Italian or Portuguese gitu or Mandarin. Jadi lo ngobrol aja, kayak maksud gue it's free and it's like a social media but for language learners. So it's actually great, and you know you can talk to a lot of people. It's amazing actually. Dan yang kayak YouTube is very accessible. There's a lot of YouTubers that do language videos. TikTok even.
True.
Like on TikTok, there's a lot of like polyglots on TikTok.
Yes.
It's insane. Like, you know, I'm nobody special there.
No,
so,
but like seriously,
you know.
kalau lu ngomongin TikTok pun, I actually saw like a few foreigners yang emang sebenarnya jago juga bahasa Asia gitu loh, dan I'm really impressed with that gitu, yang kayak wow.
Most likely it's gonna be Korean or Japanese.
Yes.
Yeah, but then there are some yang kayak I don't know bisa Tagalog or something. So, or Mandarin, or maybe Indonesian. So, yeah.
Tapi
TikTok helps too. And it's the very short video. So, if you have a really low attention span, itu tuh bagus banget gitu loh. Karena yang kayak, lo gak perlu yang kayak skip video 20 menit di YouTube gitu loh. Jadi
bener. Like, yang emang bener yang lo bilang kan. Like, now everything is like accessible. Like, it's easy to, to find or search for like how you want to learn those languages.
Exactly.
Gue mau nambahin doang kayak jangan membatasi diri lo cuman karena lo ngerasa kayak gue harus les. Kalau gue belajar sendiri belum tentu semaksimal itu. I mean kayak come on, like me.
That was my mistake.
Kayak for me personally, gue ngerasa kayak gue aja sekarang Korea tuh gue belajar sendiri otodidak. Okay, I know for a fact gue nggak mungkin jadi yang profesional banget gitu kan. Cuman gue selalu bilang sama diri gue untuk bahasa nih, just for language itu, you need to try and dive in. Cuman not only dive in, but like talk to the locals. If you talk to the locals, you'll learn from your mistake and they'll fix it gitu loh istilahnya. Kayak maksudnya even if you make mistakes, mereka pasti kayak kan mereka bingung dong istilahnya. Kalau misalnya lu ngomong sama orang bule deh yang ngomong bahasa Indo, lu membenarkan mereka kan, dia ngomongnya salah. Nah, tapi kan mereka mempelajari kesalahan mereka. Itu loh, gitu loh. Jadi kayak coba lu memasangkan situasi kayak gitu. Dengan begitu, jangan cuma ngandelin buku, karena nggak mungkin kan lu jalan-jalan lu bawa buku kemana-mana terus lu buka lagi, nggak mungkin. Makanya.
And gini deh, emang lo bakal ngomong bahasa Indonesia, contoh ya, ini just like to paint a picture. You're not gonna speak Indonesian like textbook Indonesian.
Yes.
And it's the same for all the languages, especially French, especially Italian, especially banyak gitu lah, kayak like all these languages. If you're gonna speak the language, of course you're gonna speak it conversationally.
Yes.
It's not gonna be textbook.
Bener.
Textbook works. Kalau misalnya you're starting out with the language, you're wanna fix your structure and you wanna like learn grammar. Textbook works. But conversation is a different thing, menurut gue. So, you can do textbook, sure. But at the same time tuh yang kayak, you need to try to immerse yourself or just talk to yourself in the mirror, you know? Like, conversationally it helps. And there's a lot of like videos juga, di mana yang kayak misalnya otodidak, there's a lot of videos that actually make the differences about like what is textbook French, what is not. For example, in French it's like, je suis, or like je ne sais pas, I don't know. But then in conversational French they say suis. Or they say we instead of we. Or they drop the ne if it's like a negation. Jadinya yang kayak je sais pas instead of je ne sais pas. So it means the same thing, but it's more casual. Itu kayak kita ngomong kayak gue lo, kayak disingkat-singkat gitu.
Dan itu
it's
yang menurut gue like slang words itu nggak bakalan ada di textbook or like in any other books gitu loh, yang you need to learn it from the locals.
Not in books. You need to learn it from the locals. And if it's not accessible, there's YouTube.
Kayak
or Netflix uses slang words sometimes. Karena yang kayak gue in Spanish especially, like Spain Spanish and Latin American Spanish is really different. well, it's understandable, but it's different. They have different accents. Gue nonton a series from Spain, you know the slang words from Spain, and then I watch the Mexican one, you know a lot of the way the Mexicans speak, the way the slang words work. Jadi kayak beda banget, di mana yang kayak then you'll know more about the language, and then you have the accents yang kayak beda banget. Mexican Spanish is smoother, dan yang kayak Spain Spanish is rougher. It's more European. Jadinya yang kayak you understand like these differences in the language itself and what makes it a language. Jadinya yang kayak it makes it interesting for you to learn too. And another remark, being monolingual nowadays is just embarrassing. But being bilingual is like the bare minimum of the norm. And of course, being bilingual, everybody's like mostly, they're bilingual now. Tapi yang kayak, I'm not saying that it's like embarrassing for you to be monolingual, but it's just like, but being bilingual is just the norm. Jadi yang kayak mas gue, of course you need another language for you to survive.
Benar.
If you live in Indonesia, probably not. Cuman yang kayak mas gue, even Indonesia tuh yang kayak, it's rapidly growing, it's more English, like, you hear more English lately, jadinya yang kayak, of course you're gonna have to know English.
True.
And then being trilingual, it's like impressive. Jadinya yang kayak maksud gue, if you have the interest, go for it. You don't need to feel embarrassed. You don't need to feel kayak you lack facilities. And that was my mistake. I used to feel like I lacked facilities, and I was like I stuck at the language. I was angry and stuff. Because like I feel like that's my talent, and it's like kayak maksud gue kalau misalnya I stuck at it, then kayak maksud gue it's like a whole identity crisis waiting to happen gitu. Terus jadi yang kayak maksud gue, don't feel panic. Try to gain as much information as you can. You have Netflix, you have YouTube. It's the 21st century. Everything's accessible. Jadinya yang kayak lo bisa gitu. And then if you live in Europe and you want to learn a European language, if you live in Korea, you want to learn Korean, you are surrounded with locals gitu. Well, maybe not in the Netherlands just because like they want to speak English with you.
Yes.
But they do speak Dutch, so you can force them to speak Dutch gitu loh. And if you are living in a country where English is not really widely spoken, like France, Germany, Spain, Italy, or somewhere in the Middle East, it's better for you to learn the language karena kayak that's the way you're gonna survive in the country. English wouldn't get you as far as the local language would get. And being immersed in the culture and the country itself, itu menurut gue, it's possibly the best way to learn a language, just because kayak you're gonna speak like a local, you're gonna think like a local, you're gonna survive like a local, you're gonna learn the language in like 2 months.
True.
A month impressive, 2 months minimum. Jadi yang kayak go for it. And I know a lot of people that really wants to speak languages, but then like, and I'm always saying kayak you go, like I can help you, if you want, kayak like I'm gonna be like yes gitu loh, kayak I'm gonna be like cheering you from the back. If you need help, I'm here gitu loh, kayak I'm not a tutor, but I can like help you, with something. And I've always said to like my friends yang ngomong ke gue kayak it's really impressive, lo keren banget, kayak lo bisa belajar bahasa. I mean, thank you. Like, like I know. Cuman at the same time tuh yang kayak if you have the interest, like go for it too. Like why not? Terus mereka yang kayak but like there's a lot of effort and I don't want to like but if you actually want to learn the language, you need to make the effort.
Yes.
And I'd say that's what I've been saying, kayak go for it. Kayak if you have the facilities to do so, go for it. Like maksud gue, it wouldn't hurt.
Iya benar. Maksudnya kayak
and it helps.
Jangan cuman karena lu ngerasa kayak effortnya banyak lah, harus butuh ini butuh itu. No, like it's like maybe in the past, yes, but not now gitu loh, yang kayak now everything is like people are making use of like those social media apps or even kayak platforms yang bisa ngebantuin lo untuk ngerti bahasa itu gitu loh. Jadi kayak
exactly.
Jangan
kayak
bilang
banyak
aja,
banget media yang sekarang yang kayak kayak banyak banget media yang kayak maksud gue K-pop is getting big. It's really easy now to learn Korean. That's just another example. Kalau misalnya kayak if you want to learn a language that's gonna be useful for you internationally, learn a language where there's a lot of people speaking it as native speakers. For example, Spanish. It's like the second most spoken language in the world after Mandarin. And then yang kayak Arabic. The Arab world is big. Jadi yang kayak mas gue, if you want to learn Arabic, it works if you're gonna, like maybe you're gonna conduct business there, Kayak, and then other European languages like Germany accounts for like, I don't know, like a huge percentage of like Europe's population. German helps, French helps too. You can speak French in Canada, Africa. Jadinya yang kayak, it's apa ya? It makes it better knowing that you know the language and you can use it somewhere else instead of the country itself gitu loh. So if a lot of people wants to do that, and I say just go. And the one of the last remarks is just apa ya, don't feel embarrassed that people are gonna like apa ya, make comments about you yang kayak gak usah sok keren lah lo, kayak gak usah paling basic sebenarnya contoh paling basic tuh yang kayak gak usah sok Inggris lah lo gitu loh, kan di Indonesia sering banget kan kayak gitu. Terus kayak maksud gue, emang kenapa kalau it's not that gue so English, this is just the way I speak. So kayak what about it, you know? If you have a problem, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem gitu loh. And that's like what people are scared of, because like kayak nggak mau disangka ini, nggak mau apa ya, don't want to sound too like conceited, I guess. But you know, it's your interest, and if you have the interest, go for it.
Like don't be afraid.
Don't feel embarrassed.
Yeah, don't be afraid of yourself.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to get comments like that, because being a polyglot is not easy. Of course, the effort is hard. But you know, learning another language is beautiful. Dan yang kayak maksud gue, it's beneficial for you and for you only. Kalau misalnya lo harus mikir about other people's comments, di mana yang kayak, who do you think you are? Kayak a diplomat, you don't really need to like learn that many languages, you know. But if you have the interest, then you know, like, you don't really need to think about anything else. And it's really irrelevant for you to listen to other people's opinions if you want to learn another language or learn about anything in general gitu.
Yeah.
Jadi yang kayak, yeah, exactly. So it doesn't really make sense. Dimana yang kayak, don't let that stop you to learn another language or learn something that you're interested in. Because at the end of the day, it's beneficial for you. Dimana yang kayak, lo gak bakal rugi kalau misalnya lo belajar itu. Dan lo cuma rugi kalau misalnya lo dengerin comments orang ke lo. Gitu. So that's one of the last remarks.
Okay.
A lot of people are so scared of starting that or starting something new in general.
I mean,
ya kan?
Kadang,
so I'd say just go
kadang
for it.
Buat kita sendiri pun yang udah bisa beberapa bahasa, lu mau belajar bahasa baru, kadang masih mikir juga gitu kan, kayak orang bakalan kasih komen apa, tapi it doesn't stop us from actually learning it again.
Iya, karena kadang-kadang juga jujur aja, you sound retarded when you learn a new language. Kayak
maksudnya gini loh, lu belum
it sounds really embarrassing.
Karena kita belum pro gitu kan di bahasa itu.
Nah, belum pro.
Lu masih mau belajar lagi.
Nyoba salah gitu kan. Kan kayaknya kayak on gitu loh, kayak maksud gue yang kayak you're just gonna make yourself look stupid. Well, you know, like that's the cost of it. I'm okay with it. Dan yang kayak sometimes the language sounds weird. It's as if I'm speaking gibberish, but no, it's a real language. Tapi yang kayak because it looks weird, different characters or just different way of spelling, jadinya yang kayak seolah-olah gue ngetik nonsense gitu loh. Misalnya I'm sharing something on story and stuff like that. But you know, like it doesn't really matter to me anymore. Dan yang kayak it shouldn't matter to anyone that wants to learn a new language. So I'd say shut up and go learn it, go do it. I'd say that's like the motto, basically.
Okay.
Jadi yang kayak don't let yourself be afraid, don't let yourself get held back just because of something else that is external from you.
Okay.
And that goes for everything.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That is a powerful last remark. It means a lot though, kayak for people yang misalnya masih takut buat belajar atau masih bingung gimana, semuanya tuh ada gitu loh, kayak tinggal kitanya sendiri mau atau enggak. Itu loh, maksudnya kayak bukan masalah effort lagi sekarang, karena perihal lo mau atau enggak itu juga menjadi pendorongnya. Kalau misalnya lo mau, you're gonna go for it gitu loh, yang sama yang apa yang udah kita rasain. Dan kayak you don't need to be afraid, yang kita udah bilang juga kayak jangan pernah takut, jangan pernah minder kalau misalnya lo salah, meskipun lo salah gitu. Betul. Loh dalam misalnya yang tadi udah gue bilang, kayak lo pergi ke negara itu terus lo coba ngobrol sama lokal, lo salah tiba-tiba, terus gara-gara lo salah, lo thanksin, lo takut, lo kayak aduh gue gak mau lagi deh gitu. No, like if it goes that way, just try to learn from your mistakes, do it again gitu loh. Karena mereka nggak mungkin kayak lu salah satu lu langsung dicoret dari negara itu, enggak gitu loh. Kayak mereka ya udah palingan ketawa doang, kayak oh enggak caranya gini, ya mereka pasti bakal benerin loh. Nggak mungkin yang kayak udah deh lu nggak usah sosokan. Enggak, beda ya antara orang yang pengen belajar sama orang yang sosokan bisa bahasa, itu ketahuan banget bedanya.
Betul.
And menurut gue juga salah satu benefitsnya lagi adalah you're gonna have your own accent for each languages gitu loh. Maksudnya?
I don't even know what accent I have in English.
Kayak us as like multilinguals tuh, kita punya accent kita masing-masing untuk bahasa masing-masing. Kayak for Indonesian we have our own accent. For Inggris juga ada sendiri. Terus gue yang Mandarin juga gue ada gitu loh. Terus kayak lo yang bisa beberapa bahasa juga you have accents for each language. Dan itu yang menurut gue bisa juga jadi kayak apa ya, sesuatu yang mungkin lo bisa ngerasa proud karena lo bisa ngomong berbagai bahasa, udah bisa bagai bahasa, aksen lo juga beda-beda. Dan itu yang menurut gue
aksennya beda, and it
lucu,
really depends.
gitu.
And it really depends, exactly, and it really depends on how you learn the language. For French, it's most likely you're gonna have a French accent from France, not from Canada or something. Karena yang kayak French accent is just like the norm, not the norm, but like, you know, it's the most common one, especially Parisian accent. Terus di mana yang kayak when I'm learning Portuguese, I have a Brazilian accent just because it's easier to understand. Same goes for Spanish, di mana yang kayak I want to have a Latin American accent. So I've been watching more Mexican series, and Mexican is more smooth, it's easier to understand. Makanya yang kayak now if I speak Spanish, cuando yo hablo español, yo hablo con un accente Latinoamérica. So it's smoother, it flows better. I don't speak with the throat, and that's the difference between Spain Spanish and Latin American Spanish. That's an example. And accents, it comes to you. It doesn't kayak you can learn an accent, but then once you start learning a language, the accent is like the thing that you hear most basically.
Tapi kayak
So,
accent
that's what you're
itu
used to
yang
the
kebentuknya tuh secara sendirinya gitu loh. Like you don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
Karena gue waktu
Yeah.
belajar Mandarin, gue belajar Korea pun ya, atau Jepang atau Jerman, it happens by its own gitu loh. Kayak gue nggak menguasai apa-apa, datang aja sendiri tuh accent. Dan gue sadar setelah gue menggunakan bahasa itu berkali-kali, kayak oh ternyata aksen gue kayak gini. Tapi back again, you can't grade yourself if you just talk to yourself gitu loh. Kayak oke, lo latihan lo gini, tapi
True.
you need to test yourself ketika lo di sana, or talk to people who are actually pro at that language gitu loh. Karena itu yang bisa menjadikan jaminan kalau misalnya ada hasilnya gitu. Tapi jangan juga ngerasa puas kalau lu udah bisa gitu loh. Karena menurut gue every day is a learning process.
Learning.
Yeah, every day is like a learning process.
It's a constant
right?
learning. Even contoh aja kayak I'm losing my Portuguese now. Karena gue udah lama nggak make. I'm starting to lose it gitu loh. I can still understand it and speak it. Cuman kayak pasti gue terbata-bata banget misalnya gue sekarang harus ngomong. Karena yang kayak udah lama nggak make gitu loh. And that's the point. Karena kayak it's a learning process. It's a constant learning. Dimana yang kayak you don't really have to learn hard every day, but you know, just like lo pecah-pecah gitu loh, kayak day by day, you know, slowly it's gonna get there. So, and that goes for beginning a language juga. Kayak choose a language, don't make my mistake. I chose like 2 languages for like 2 months, for like a month. Jadi yang kayak that was hard. So, and that didn't really work effectively. So, one of my last tips itu to just choose one language that you're interested in, not master it, but like learn it as much as you can. Once you want to move on to another language, make sure that you're already comfortable in that language that you learned before, and then you can switch.
Okay. Well, okay. And I guess that would be it then. That would be the end. Thanks for joining. Thank you loh udah mau jadi guest.
No worries. I'm glad to do this, and I love speaking about this. And I'm glad that it's recorded. You know, I've never recorded my conversations before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
this has been really nice.
yeah, thank you for appearing ya. Akhirnya.
C'était bien. Thank you guys for listening too, if you are listening until like this far. But I really hope you get something out of it, and I really hope both of us inspires you to actually start learning a new language if you have the interest in it, you know?
Okay.
And you know, I would probably make another like video on like languages and stuff. So if you want that, and if you want to use that as like help, I can. So, you know.
Okay.
A little self-promotion.
It's fine. Jadi buat para penonton, pendengar juga yang pengen belajar bahasa, boleh banget lah istilahnya. Nggak ada yang bakal ngebatasin. Cuman ingat aja untuk tetap have fun kalau misalnya kalian mau belajar bahasa baru. Jadi kayak just be yourself. So by then I'm gonna sign off, and thanks for listening. Bye.
Merci beaucoup. Adios. Hasta pronto.